Drake doesn't just spend millions, he spends like a man trying to buy an entirely different reality. And the craziest part? The way he burns money might be the one thing keeping him on top. This is how Drake really times lives. And it's far more insane than you think. Drake didn't start rich. In fact, his early life looked nothing like the world he lives in today. Born in Toronto to a modest upbringing, he was raised by his mother in a small home after his parents divorced. Those years weren't glamorous, but they shaped him. He saw what struggle looked like, and it created a hunger inside him. Not the hunger to simply make money, but to build a world so big, so luxurious, and so untouchable that he would never feel small or limited again. When he landed his role on Degrassi, the money helped, but it wasn't enough. Drake wanted something else: power, influence, a lifestyle that breaks every rule. And once he became one of the most successful artists in history, he finally got it. And that's when the spending truly began. But what Drake started buying next shocked even his closest friends. Let's start with the crown jewel of Drake's spending, the Embassy, also known as the most famous private residence in Canada. This isn't a house, this isn't even a mansion, it is a palace. A modern, custom-built fortress worth tens of millions created specifically to reflect Drake's personality. Huge, dramatic, overly luxurious, and impossible to ignore. It includes a 2-story closet filled entirely with designer clothing, a grand piano room with actual commissioned works of art worth millions, a custom NBA-sized indoor court, a pool so massive it looks like a luxury spa, marble floors imported from across the world, and ceilings so high they resemble a museum. Every inch of the Embassy screams wealth, but more importantly, it screams identity. For Drake, this house isn't just shelter, it's a monument to success, a statement carved in stone and gold saying, "I made it, and I made it big." And that's just one of his homes. Drake owns mansions across Los Angeles, Beverly Hills, and even a massive estate he once kept in Hidden Hills, a place so large it included multiple homes, swimming pools, and a private equestrian center. While most artists dream of owning one luxury home, Drake buys entire neighborhoods. And here's the thing, he doesn't just buy these homes, he customizes them with details that only Drake would think of. Personal recording studios, custom theaters, outdoor waterfalls, championship-level basketball courts, and interior designs so extravagant they look like movie sets. Drake's real estate portfolio alone costs more to maintain every year than some people earn in a lifetime. But one of the biggest flexes in Drake's lifestyle sits in the sky, Air Drake, his custom private jet. Even though the plane itself was gifted to him, Drake spent millions upgrading and personalizing it until it became one of the most iconic celebrity jets in the world. But the jet wasn't the craziest part, the real shock came from what he used it for next. Plush interiors, custom gold detailing, full-size living spaces, a bedroom suite, lounge areas, a massive cargo hold. Drake could fly a small country in that thing. But why does he spend so much on travel? Because, for Drake, luxury is not the point. Presence is. Drake spends money to create an aura, a narrative that he is always operating at a level far above everyone else. And nothing reinforces that idea more than showing up to concerts, events, or even vacations in a private jet that looks like it belongs to a billionaire diplomat. But Drake's spending doesn't stop at the big stuff. His everyday lifestyle, if you can even call it everyday, burns through money faster than most celebrities earn it. Start with his car collection. Drake owns some of the rarest luxury cars in the world. Rolls-Royces built to order, Maybachs customized to perfection, Lamborghinis wrapped in exclusive finishes. Even hyper-exotic vehicles so rare that only a handful of people on Earth have ever seen them. He doesn't just buy cars, he curates them like art. And many of these vehicles aren't even street legal. They exist purely for collection, purely for display, purely because Drake likes the feeling of having something no one else has. But if his cars look insane, what he keeps around his neck is on another level of madness. And speaking of no one else has, Drake has another obsession: jewelry. And his collection isn't normal celebrity jewelry, it's practically ancient treasure. Diamond chains larger than dinner plates, custom pendants dripping with stones, rings worth hundreds of thousands, watches so rare they can sell for millions. Drake wears jewelry like armor, not just to shine, but to remind everyone that he sits at the top. One of his most famous pieces includes a necklace made up of dozens of engagement rings, each representing a proposal he almost made. It's bizarre, romantic, and extravagant all at once, which makes it perfectly Drake. But here's where things get really insane. Drake's spending isn't just luxury, it's emotional. He buys based on feeling. He spends based on mood. He invests in experiences, not just objects. Take his love for gambling, for example. Drake is known for placing massive bets, sometimes millions at a time, on sports events, UFC fights, or online casinos. He does it publicly, confidently, and unapologetically. But one gamble in particular nearly spiraled out of control and almost exposed Drake's biggest weakness. A moment he still avoids talking about because it exposed the one thing money can't protect. If you're still watching, make sure you subscribe because what Drake spends next is on a completely different level. Sometimes he wins huge, sometimes he loses huge, but for Drake, it's not really about winning or losing, it's about the thrill. When you have hundreds of millions, adrenaline becomes the real currency. And then there's his spending on friends, something fans rarely talk about, but insiders know very well. Drake takes care of the people around him. He gifts his crew designer clothes, luxury cars, expensive jewelry, and even down payments on houses. He flies friends and family across the world, treats them to yachts, private vacations, and once-in-a-lifetime events. He believes in loyalty and spends money to reinforce the idea that if you stay with him, he'll take care of you. For Drake, relationships are an investment, but loyalty comes with a price tag, and for Drake, that price keeps getting higher. Another huge part of his spending goes toward his music. Recording, producing, sampling, music videos. Drake doesn't make songs, he builds worlds around them. A single Drake music video can cost more than an entire film production. He pays for exotic locations, production teams, special effects, and massive marketing campaigns. He spends whatever he needs to ensure his releases dominate not just music charts, but global conversation. To Drake, music is not just art, it's a business empire, and he treats it like one. One of the biggest questions people ask is, how does Drake spend so much without going broke? The answer is simple. Drake earns at a level very few people ever reach. He makes money from music, touring, endorsements, business ventures, partnerships, and his own brand collaborations. Several of his deals bring in tens of millions. But even more importantly, Drake knows how to stay relevant. He releases music at the perfect moments. He collaborates with rising artists to stay connected to younger audiences. He understands social culture, meme culture, online culture. He knows how to trend, how to spark discussion, how to stay at the center of conversation. And attention equals money. Because the higher Drake climbed, the heavier the pressure became, and spending became his way of staying above it all. Another massive expense in Drake's life is his private security and personal staff. When you reach Drake's level of fame, privacy doesn't exist. Safety doesn't come cheap. He employs teams of security guards, personal assistants, chauffeurs, chefs, stylists, and managers who ensure every part of his life runs smoothly. His staff operates like a small corporation, and the yearly cost is enormous. But again, for Drake, this isn't luxury, it's necessity. Another area where Drake spends millions is on investments that reflect his personal identity, like art. Drake collects art the way some people collect sneakers. He buys contemporary pieces, sculptures, posters, rare photography, installations, and iconic works from modern artists. To him, art is inspiration. Some pieces decorate his homes, others sit in storage vaults, increasing in value. But each one represents a moment, a mood, or a memory in Drake's life. Yet the deeper he went into art, the more it revealed about his state of mind and what he was really trying to escape. And speaking of moods, Drake is known for throwing celebrations that feel less like parties and more like historical events. He books entire clubs. He rents out yachts. He hires famous performers. He buys champagne like water. Some of these parties cost hundreds of thousands, sometimes even millions. Because in Drake's world, celebration is currency. You celebrate to show success. You celebrate to stay motivated. You celebrate because life is short, and luxury is meant to be lived. But for all the spending, there is one purchase that truly captures who Drake is: his generosity. Drake has given away more money than most celebrities earn. Cars, tuition payments, house deposits, emergency help, random acts of kindness. Whether it's fans, family, or strangers, Drake often spends without hesitation when it comes to helping others. He doesn't brag about most of it. He doesn't film it. He doesn't brag for attention. He simply pays it forward because he remembers where he came from. So after all this, what does Drake's spending reveal about him? It reveals a man who sees money not as a number but as an experience. A man who builds worlds out of cash. A man who buys emotion, freedom, identity, and legacy. Drake's lifestyle isn't random, it's intentional, expressive, and deeply personal. He doesn't apologize for it. He doesn't hide it. He embraces it because he earned the right to live exactly how he wants. Drake's insane spending may look outrageous, excessive, even ridiculous to some, but it's also part of what makes him Drake. A global superstar who turned wealth into a lifestyle, lifestyle into influence, and influence into power. He lives big because he thinks big. He spends boldly because he dreams boldly. And whether people admire him or criticize him, one thing is certain: no one lives like him and no one ever will. This was Fame and Fortune, where the truth behind luxury hits harder than the headlines. Drake's world is wild, but the next story goes even further. Subscribe, you won't believe what comes next.